Happy Friday. It might not be a Friday when I post this, but it's a Friday for me now. I wanted to try something new and do a little coding vlog, some. I took the week off of making videos because I got kind of burned out, and I decided just to make something this week. So that's what we're gonna do, and I'm gonna show it off. And also, I've got a nice little Thai beer because it's a Friday. I decided to build a webcomic manager app. So if you don't already know, I have a webcomic online. It's just a shitty Astro site right now, but I want a CMS because I also have another comic in the works. And so I'd like to be able to create new comics, have specific domains pointing to them, and then, each of those comics has chapters and pages. I wanted to give JavaScript a break because I've spent years in the JavaScript world. I've worked in plenty of other languages before, but I just kind of got stuck in JavaScript and I wanted to try something new. And because everyone around me is ranting and raving about Elixir, I was like, well, let's try it, okay? So I decided to initially build this with Phoenix. And it was great because if I had questions, I could just bother Chris because he's my coworker. It was cool. We're going back to an MVC framework and just being able to generate stuff super quickly. That was nice. That is something that I do kind of miss about the Rails MVC world. I like the separations of concern. And something I was really excited to experiment with was Live View, which is effectively like the Elixir Phoenix version of partial pre-rendering. The way it works, and Elixir people, Phoenix people, y'all can correct me if I've described this wrong. I've used Elixir for all of 1 week, so I'm kind of an expert. The way Live View works is you have chunks of it's effectively kind of like React components that are directly connected to the servers. They have I think they use WebSockets. Each component manages its own state on the server. If you're adding new items to a to-do list, that needs to get saved to the database. And so it makes perfect sense for the database or for the backend to manage that. And every single one of those components is its own process. This is like some crazy Elixir magic that I don't fucking understand. But it's not like operating system processes. But it's also not threads. I don't fully understand, but it's very cool. And it's very fast. So this is my really shitty Phoenix app. All you can do right now is add chapters and then edit the names of them. I want to add chapter 6. Add. Boom. Automatically updated. And that's without writing any JavaScript. You can also change the name of a chapter, whatever. Amazing. And it gets automatically updated. Let's look at the code, shall we? Boop. All right. So this is my chapters live view. When you go to edit a chapter like this, let's look at this. This is for this page. This is the Heeks file, the HTML effectively for that page. And here what I'm saying is if we're editing a chapter, display this chapter edit component, which if we look at that, that's this little form, right? And this is another live view. It's a live component that manages its own state and it listens for events. And so when it gets this save event, it goes and does its stuff. And then it sends a new event called chapter updated, which if we look for chapter updated, so this is the parent live view here. And when it hears this chapter updated from this little form here, it's like, okay, time to update the chapters. Some people have described it as Redux. I think it's even simpler than that. The thing that ultimately was a turnoff was, it's not really, I feel bad. Elixir's a lovely language. I just don't like working with dynamically typed languages anymore. Also, I didn't quite figure out how to work with TypeScript. I was practicing with this drag and drop. Let's see, does this work? I was practicing with this drag and drop library and it works. It's great. But it had been a while since I'd worked with normal JavaScript libraries that aren't, or UI JavaScript libraries that aren't based in React. It's been many years, so it felt very retro, typing a lot of document.query selector, blah, blah, blah. But my biggest complaint was having to go back to normal JavaScript. Again, I'm certain that there's a way of using TypeScript. I just didn't get that far. I have heard that there are whispers of Elixir getting strict typing in the future. Fingers crossed. That would be amazing. I would definitely reconsider if that happens. Chris says it might. So gave up on Phoenix, but then I was like, okay, I guess I'll go back to TypeScript because I really do, excuse me, I really do like TypeScript. Thing is, I haven't been very pleased with a lot of the JavaScript frameworks out there. I think they're overly complex. And I also really don't like the convention of mixing server code and client-side code in the same file. What I wanted was just Vite with server-side rendering and like a way of doing. And with server-side rendering, that also implies that you have a server running where you can define API routes. I don't even like the term API routes. Like, we're just talking about anything other than a GET request, right? Like, that's what we mean, right? Like a post or a put or a delete or whatever. I went in search of a framework. I went in search of a framework. I don't think I like this framework very much. And I need a beer break. Hang on. What I found was a framework called Vike or someone tell me I don't know how to pronounce this thing. But it's effectively the evolution of this Vite SSR plugin. They turned it into a framework, and I think it's my new favorite. You get file-based routing for all of your GET requests. So anything that's supposed to spit out a web page for you to look at, you get file-based routing. Each of those pages there's a particular file where you can go and do all like the server-side stuff beforehand. It's like, okay, it's kind of like your Remix loader. Go and get the stuff, spit it out, and hand it to your page. So, hello, this is my delightful Vike app. I'm gonna go with Vike for now. And my actual comic. You're welcome. Spoilers. You can read this online at peachboycomic.com. This is not a promotion, but anyways. So I have these different chapters, and as you can see, I've got the slug for the chapter name, and then the page number. I know y'all are like, what the fuck? Naked baby and a peach? What is happening in this story? Just go read it. So this is what the routes look like. And so here for dynamic routes, you basically just like put an @ symbol in front of it, right? Slug, page number, and then here. So this plus page component, this is what you see, right? This is the page itself. And then this data page is where we fetch stuff from the database. This is kind of messy right now. I'm doing my own little pagination here. And so this is just the server-side code and then whatever it's supposed to look like. And then you use a hook, this use data hook, to get the content that is passed to the view. And then if you want to have any API routes, you can define that on your server. So the way I've organized this, first of all, let's go to our standard, this is sort of like boilerplate Express stuff. Mostly I didn't write half of this because they're like, here, just start with this. If you want to use Express, do that. This is where we have like sort of we're handing all of the GET requests, and we're basically saying, hey, we want you to do the server-side rendering, please. Give us page. And that's how it works. I'm great at explaining things, aren't I? Give us page. Anyways, here I've added this extra authentication middleware, which is defined here, middleware auth, where I'm verifying their JSON Web Token. And then for my other for most of my API routes, again, I hate the term API routes, but you know what I mean, my non-GET requests, I've got the business logic in their own file. So I have sort of like a base routes file. I could have put this inside of my index, excuse me. I could have put it in this page, right? Wherever I'm defining my Express app. I feel like that's typically where you see routes, but I just think with everything that's going on in this page, it's just too cluttered. No, we don't like that. And so I decided to create a new routes file. This is where all of my API stuff is, all of my post requests and delete and stuff. And then I have a function that lives in its own little file. So this is our logout function. Every route is neatly contained, all in this routes folder. That's not a convention that they set out. This is just what I decided to do. It's very neat and tidy. Do you see how my server-side code is not mixed with my client-side code? Very demure. I know no one's saying demure anymore, Annie. Such a millennial. Okay, I'm using Prisma and Postgres for my database. I'm just going to use the standard fly Postgres for now. I may play around with distributed Postgres and try and do that. So if I want to have my app in multiple regions, I can do that. Is it really necessary to have my one little dumb webcomic app in multiple regions? Probably not, but it's fine. Don't worry about it. So once again, you have this pages. I am clicking around too much. I have this pages folder. It has all of my file-based routing for all of the visible pages that people want to visit. And then my server in this routes folder has all of my API calls that I ever want to make. And it's pretty straightforward. The other thing that's cool is if I want to do authentication, which I put all of my auth stuff behind this like admin base URL. And so here, in fact, if we go to this admin /chapters / some kind of slug, let's see what that looks like. So let's go ahead and log in. For the record, this page is the most beautiful page that I have because Copilot wrote the styling for me. Okay, let's log in. I am logged in. You can't tell because there's no feedback, but I will get to that someday. And then if we go to chapters /chapter 1, so this chapter 1, that's the slug that I've defined for chapter 1. And it didn't work. Oh wait, that's right, because I got the, it's supposed to be admin. Remember, important tip for web developers, remember the URLs you want to show people. Okay, so this is what the back end looks like, the admin side of things looks like. You can go to your different chapters and it shows you all the pages that you have. You can delete pages, you know, good. Let's get rid of chapter 15. Wow, amazing. Y'all are like, what is this? What is happening in this comic? Just go read it. But yeah, and then I can, if I want to, I can upload a page. Let's go ahead and choose a file. Why not? This is not going to make any sense. It's all out of order. Who cares? And then boom, we load the page. I'm going to go ahead and delete that one. These pages are hosted on Tigris Data. If you haven't already checked them out, I wish I had an affiliate link so I could make extra money. I love these guys so much. Also, we're friends. Yeah, they're like an easy S3 solution, like way easier to use than S3. I'm never using S3 again. But they are S3 compatible, so they make that easy. So yeah, this is the back end. This is what it looks like. As far as plans for the future, I think, here's what I'm thinking, right? I'm fleshing this out as I go. This is not a side hustle, for the record. I have no plans to make money on this, but I do like this as a little experiment app to test out different things. So this is eventually going to be, right now, there is one user and she is me. But eventually I want to have multiple users and I want them each to be able to specify a domain and to be able to point that domain to their app, which is entirely doable on Fly because obviously I'm going to host it on Fly. Deciding how I want to do that sort of like multi-tenant kind of situation. It's possible to have apps per user. I don't think I need to go that far. I think just having a database, a single database that has like user ID and stuff like that. I guess then I'll have a proxy. So if the domain comes in and the domain looks like this, I know that that's associated with this user and this user has these comics. And that's how it's going to work. I think that's how it's going to go. For now, I'm not going to think too much about how I'm building this for other people because again, I don't really care. This is just for me. This is just my playground, okay? But I will actually find use out of this because I do webcomics and this is what I want. This has been a very rambly video. I don't know what's gonna I'm probably just gonna post this on Twitter. I have no intention of starting my own YouTube channel, so I felt inspired. So cheers to that. Cheers to inspiration. Yeah, I think that's it. Thank you for letting me ramble at you. Cheers. Have a good Friday. Bye.